Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar. We do have a lot of stuff to cover today, so we'll just kick this thing off. Again, thank you all for joining us. We know your time is valuable, so to have you here is really great, and we do appreciate it. So today we're going to be going over some insights on to pretty much how to improve your customer retention, and we do that through ensuring their happiness. And as we all know, it is cheaper to keep a customer than it is to gain a new one. Next slide, Rob. So a little bit about us. We are a consulting firm located in San Diego, California, and we help companies like yours become successful through the use of technology. We do this by listening to your goals and strategizing with you on how best to use technology to achieve those goals. We want to be a resource for you and for knowledge, and then ultimately a partner, and be successful with you rather than because of you. My name is Nick. I am the sales manager here at AlphaBOLD, and I have 9 years of experience of account management within the manufacturing space. And then we also have Rob Winstrand with us, and he is the director of customer engagement with 15 years of experience. And he's going to be taking us through the majority of today's presentation. Next slide, please. So looking at what we are going to be covering today, first we'll go over some of the hurdles manufacturers face when it comes to customer service. Then we'll define what customer service is and how it is successful. We will look into some customer stories and some successful customer service implementations. And we will also be looking at different technologies available to ensure high levels of customer service. And at any point, if you do have questions throughout this webinar, please put them in the chat box. I will be monitoring those, and we'll try to answer them throughout today's presentation. And if we don't, we will reach out to you afterwards to get you some answers. So first thing I want to do before we launch everything is a poll, because we'd love to hear from you and get your feedback. So first poll is launched now. So are you currently measuring your customer service satisfaction, or CSAT, or NPS? Please select one of the following, yes or no. We would love to hear from you. So it looks like we got some results coming in, and it's no. So thank you for joining us, because we will show you how important it is to measure not only satisfaction, but happiness. And we got a couple more votes. No, no, no. Okay. I leave this open for another 5 seconds. And perfect. Thank you guys for your responses. We do appreciate that. So moving on to the, let's see, next slide, please. So let's look at a few of the common issues seen by manufacturers and really any company that is using a 1-tier or 2-tier distribution model. In a lot of cases, there's no direct relationship between the customer or with the customer, since the customer's main interaction is with a dealer. And in a 2-tier model, that gap is even larger between you and the customer. This means that their primary interactions are happening at the retail level, where you as a manufacturer may not have much say or control over how the sale went or how the follow-up went after the sale. This makes it extremely difficult to monitor how your product is being representative when striving for customer service excellence, and can sometimes put you in a bad position. This leads into the next hurdle. When a customer does finally engage with you, it's often stemming from a negative experience. This might happen because the support from the reseller didn't meet their expectations, or if the reseller did try to resolve the issue, but it's beyond their capabilities, it requires you as a manufacturer to step in. So when the customer is finally reaching out to you, most likely they've been through a lot and they're not in the best of moods. And when dealing with physical products, as most manufacturers do, remote support is often not an option unless the old faithful, did you unplug it and plug it back in method actually works. In a lot of cases, the product with the issue has to be sent back in for repair, or a replacement has to be sent out. Either way, it's a burden on the customer. So keeping track of each customer and the disposition throughout their product repair or replacement is a tricky challenge to overcome. Next slide, please. So now that we've covered some of the hurdles that I think we are all familiar with, let's get back to kind of what this webinar is about. and that is ensuring the customer happiness through customer service success. So what is customer happiness? Well, I think most of us are familiar with customer satisfaction, but it's not often that you hear about customer happiness. Let's define those real quick for you. Customer satisfaction is more of a transactional measure of how a customer views your company. So an example of this would be a customer reaching out to you to resolve an issue. You quickly resolve that issue and the customer leaves satisfied. A satisfied customer is simply that. They just didn't have a bad experience. While it's important to leave a customer satisfied and to measure the customer satisfaction, it doesn't necessarily mean that it drives customer happiness. So customer happiness is the sum of all interaction between your company and the customer. It's the main driving force for not only repeat customers, but also customers who will champion for your company. A big point to stress here is that whatever methods you use to achieve customer happiness and a loyal repeat customer, this can all be lost with a single negative experience. And I'll repeat this again, it's a lot cheaper to keep a customer than it is to gain a new one. At the bottom here are a few areas that can cause a negative interaction with your customers. One being availability of information. They visited your website and were unable to find documentation or FAQs to help them resolve their own issue. A lack of response or timeliness of your response. So your customer service didn't respond in a timely manner or at all, they got lost in the shuffle. Or if the resolution is taking a while and your customer service team isn't sending regular updates. And then speed of resolution. So how quickly can the issue be resolved in order to best fit your customer and keep them happy? Does it take way too long for a problem to be fixed? Next slide. So with all that being said, how do you as a manufacturer, or how do many manufacturers define customer success? Here are a list of topics that we will be diving into today to explore this question. Through the remainder of the webinar, we will be breaking each of these down, and we will look at these discrete sections, and we'll talk about how various companies within the manufacturing industry have leveraged software to address each of these areas. First, self-service. So is information readily available online and allow your customer to resolve their issues? Second is availability. Is it easy for the customer to reach out and interact with you? And then finally, efficiency. Are you able to serve the customer in a timely manner? So without further ado, I'd like to do another poll. Let's launch this one. All right, are you using a ticket tracking or case management system right now? If you are, we would love to hear if you are using any of these: Jira, Zendesk, Salesforce, Service Cloud, Freshdesk. If it's an other, choose other, or if it's none, choose other. We would love to hear it. If you are using another one and you want to put it in the chat, we would love to hear, so that way we know exactly what you guys are using out there. So it looks like we do have kind of a lot of people saying other, but then we do have some people using Jira, Zendesk, and Freshdesk. We will leave this open for another few seconds, and we do appreciate your responses. Yeah, but it looks like other is a hot answer here, so that means people are using something else, or they just don't have anything at all. Perfect. Right. Thank you guys so much for your answers. And well, I mean, it's enough of my jaw wagging for right now. This is where I'm going to hand it off to Rob. And before I do, just remember, if you do have any questions throughout this, please feel free to enter them in the chat, and we'll try to answer them throughout the webinar. The floor is yours, Rob.
Thanks, Nick. So today, let's start off by diving a little deeper into the first topic, which is self-service. So what are some ways that you can make sure that your company is providing your service, your customers, appropriate self-service resources? So the first one, of course, maybe a knowledge base. Does your company provide a comprehensive and up-to-date library of information that is readily available to your customers? Is it up to date? Product documentation. Similarly, if your array of product documentation and specifications aren't easily readily available to your customers, that could be you have a negative interaction with them. Access to personalized data. Do you provide the ability to your customers to view the status of existing issues that they may have open with your company? If you're shipping a product out to a customer, do they have a way to see the order status, for example? Community support. Have you provided a place for your customers to create a community centered around your products, like a forum or a community discussion board? So kind of to address some of these things, we're going to talk about a couple of scenarios. And the first scenario we're going to look at today is a self-service scenario with the company TaylorMade. So who is TaylorMade? They were founded by Gary Adams in 1978. They're best known as the company that introduced metal woods to the game of golf. Today, TaylorMade continues to be one of golf's most popular equipment manufacturers, with dozens of touring professionals playing and wearing their products. So what was the problem that TaylorMade had? The company maintains a series of internal articles. Again, going back to our self-service scenario, knowledge base, essentially, a series of articles related to answering various customer questions and outlining resolutions to common problems. This knowledge base is incredibly helpful for finding the resolution to many common problems that their customers have, but sometimes it can be difficult for their employees to find that right article. Additionally, only employees had access to this information. TaylorMade wanted to provide a way to have their customers access this information without the barrier of having to interact with a TaylorMade employee. So what was the solution that we helped them provide? The first part of the solution was to provide a central location for their users to be able to view, search, and manage knowledge articles. Microsoft Dynamics 365 for customer service provides such a module that helps organize these knowledge articles, as well as providing a way for indexing them and tying them to specific customers and their issues. The second part of the solution was to leverage Microsoft Power App portals to expose these knowledge articles onto a website portal, which allows customers to search through and find those articles to resolve their issues. So essentially providing a self-service solution. So the technologies that we're covering today, the first one is Dynamics 365 for customer service. For those who aren't familiar, it's a fully featured ticket tracking and case management tool. It's in the Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem, which means it's online hosted and is tied into the Dataverse database. It's built, yeah, as I mentioned, built on the same database as other Dynamics modules, such as customer engagement and field service and a number of other applications. Finally, it has this knowledge base and knowledge article module that where employees can, of course, view, create, modify internal knowledge base articles and publish them to the portal. The second tool, the second application we're going to look at is Power Apps Portals. So what is Power Apps Portals? So it allows customers access to the data that they need, meaning that you can expose your knowledge base articles, information pages, and other pieces of data directly from your database using the portal. I think earlier I talked a little bit about customer-specific information. Using this portal, you can also expose content specific to a customer, such as what open cases or tickets they have, and maybe if there's some open orders, they could potentially view the status of those orders. You can also customize the look and feel to match your company's branding. So it's fully editable, easy to use visual editor, allows non-technical, maybe business analysts or other employees within your company to modify the look and feel very easily and quickly and add content that you need. Finally, it can provide a forum or a support portal that will tie directly to your customers to provide a focal point for discussions related to your products. Essentially allowing your customers to engage with you and other customers in a community forum. Again, another way of self-service. So without further discussion, I'll pass this over to, and again, I didn't introduce him earlier, but I'm going to pass this over to one of my technical consultants. His name is Daniel Gonet, and he'll walk us through a demonstration on how TaylorMade uses Dynamics to expose content to customers using the knowledge base and the customer portal.
Thanks, Rob. TaylorMade has a variety of published articles in Dynamics. All of our active articles, we can see that there's 47 in here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this Do My Points Expire article, just as an example. The articles that TaylorMade has are pretty simple, as you can see from the content down here, but this can be substantially more complex. It can include images or even attachments like PDFs. On the upper right of the article, we can see the publishing status. This can be changed to a few different kind of sub-values within being published. And this is essentially just part of the process of moving an article from being in a draft to then being published. We can also modify the versions of articles so that you can save different versions of an article over time and kind of keep track of that, that process, that evolution of the article. We can do that by this Create Major Version button to create a full new version of the article if there's a large change. Or we also have the option to create minor revisions as well. If we click into the summary on the article, we can see some additional data, kind of metadata of the article. So we can see things like the status reason, the publishing status that we mentioned. We have the version number, and then we can also see things like the owner. We also have additional information like this internal field. When this field is set to no, it means that this article is publicly available. And so this means that we will be able to see it on the portal. If this were set to yes, we would not be able to see this article on the portal. We can also take a look at related information like assigned categories. So in this case, the article is tied to this ecom loyalty points category. This is fully configurable both in terms of which categories are available to choose and which categories can be added to the article. And we can add additional categories by coming up to this associate category and then just selecting the category that we want. So let's go ahead and switch over to it so that I can show you what we're working on the TaylorMade side. Now, this is the current iteration of their customer self-service site, though it is still in active development to refine some things like font libraries. Every aspect of the site is configurable, both in terms of the appearance. So you can see here that this is branded for TaylorMade, letting you match that company's branding, and also the structure. So TaylorMade is focused on FAQs for this first phase. So you can see that we have these 6 different categories for their kind of most covered FAQ content. So let's go ahead and try to find the article that we had in Dynamics, this Do My Points Expire article. One of the most straightforward ways to do that is to click into this knowledge base section in the nav bar. From here, we can see all the different categories that are tied to active articles in CRM, and we can pick ecom loyalty points. So these are all of the ecom loyalty points articles, and we can just click on Do My Points Expire from here. Now you can see that the actual content of the article perfectly matches the content that's listed in the article in Dynamics. Another way that we can then find this article is we can search for it. So if I were to search for points expire, for example, this will perform a search on both the title of the article and the text that's in the article. And so you can see that this Do My Points Expire article is right here at the top. And that just pulls us back to the same article. Lastly, if the customer isn't able to find what they're looking for, the site also does include multiple different contact methods right here on the homepage. At the moment, we have 3. We have this Call Us functionality here that just gives them the phone numbers that they need. We have chat functionality, which is currently offline. And we also have a button here that will bring users to a Contact Us form that's actually on TaylorMade's main website. And so we can see an example of what that form looks like here. But with that, I'll pass it back over to you, Rob.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, Daniel. So let's move on to our next topic, which is availability. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take another poll. Nick, would you like to get us started on that poll?
You got it. And actually, we did have a question come in from John. He actually asked, how do you tie having a great knowledge base to increase sales? So I'll take a stab at this, and then Rob, if you want to fill in any gaps. Just from my own experience, having that knowledge base allows a customer to become more comfortable with your company and with your product. So when I'm researching a product to buy, like let's say golf clubs or something, if I see FAQs, so other people are talking about it, and then I also see more information about the product, I get more comfortable, and I feel comfortable buying it. Whereas if I'm researching something else and I see nothing on that, I am less likely to buy it because I know I won't be able to fix any issues that may come up or have nowhere to go to find out just any kind of specs on it. That's kind of how I see it and how my experience has been. Rob, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, it's about customer retention. Essentially, if it's difficult for them to find the information they need about your products or potential issues, that could increase frustration, which means that you're less likely to have a repeat customer. So again, it's looping back to the customer happiness. So their satisfaction, that means that they're, you're not making them angry, but happiness is essentially trying to think of the different ways that they may interact with you and making those interactions easier and streamlining those interactions.
Thank you. Hopefully that answers your question. And if not, we can connect afterwards and get that set up for you. Now, for the poll, we got this one I'm about to launch. Does your company use a live chat or a chatbot function? This is often used for customer service, so that way someone can quickly go to your website, ask a question, and we can get an answer over to them. So I'd love to hear your responses, and if you want to put what you are using in the chat, we'd love to see that as well. Looks like the majority of you are saying no. We do have a couple saying yes, but maybe that's something that we can help you explore, so that way we can really build your customer happiness levels. I'm gonna leave this open for a couple more seconds. All right, I'm gonna close up. Thank you guys again for your responses. And Rob, back over to you.
Sounds good. So I think we were talking a bit earlier about self-service. Now we're talking about availability. So what is availability? What are some ways that you can make sure your company is providing your customers appropriate self-service resources? So first off is email. Are you responding to emails in a timely manner? So email automation. Are you leveraging your systems to communicate to your customers automatically under certain circumstances? Have you standardized the what and how you're responding to your customers? Telephone. How quickly can you pull up information that a customer might need while they're on the phone? Website. Can your customers directly submit issues and requests through your website? Can they open a chat window and talk with your team directly? And finally, social media. Are you staying on top of your social media? Are you making sure that the sentiment toward your company and your brand are staying at high levels, or are people saying things about you on social media that you're unaware of? So staying on top of those things. So we're going to go into another scenario here. In this case, it's with JWC Environmental. They design, build, and service the world's most dependable waste shredders and screening systems to help our customers solve challenging waste reduction and recycling applications. With a global presence and 4 decades of experience, they work closely with customers to ensure successful projects. They assist customers in the energy, wastewater, recycling, marine, and facility management sectors, just to name a few. So what was the problem that JWC had? They needed to reduce the amount of time needed to record and resolve issues when customers called in. Additionally, they wanted to quickly identify a customer when they call in and have the customer information readily available. So what was the solution that was presented and provided? Utilizing Dynamics 365 customer service. So the module we talked about previous in the presentation. They were already using Dynamics 365 customer service to track open issues with their customers, but they wanted to increase the speed of resolution and bring up customer information more quickly. So what we helped them do is implement something that Microsoft calls the Unified Service Desk System, which ties directly in with their phone system. When a customer calls in, an agent answers, and the USD tool automatically pulls up the customer, assuming it can be found based upon the caller ID number. This will automatically bring up the customer record and guide them through a process of recording the call activity and helping the customer resolve the issue as quickly as possible. So before we get into sort of a demonstration of what that looks like, let's talk about the underlying technologies. The first one we're going to look at is Unified Service Desk. So what is Unified Service Desk? Unified Service Desk allows an agent to view data stored in Dynamics 365 in a holistic manner. It's an add-on to essentially an add-on to the app, which can aggregate information from different business systems into one container, where an agent can analyze the customer sort of a 360-degree view, providing the customer service agent quick access and control to all the critical information so that the agent can quickly address issues from a single interface. USD utilizes sessions to achieve this functionality. A session contains tabs, and each of those tabs can contain CRM, web pages, and even other applications. And I want to stress that we can build, connectors can be built to other external applications that might not necessarily normally integrate with Dynamics or other systems. You can bring those applications up into a single interface, so you can quickly tab between those different applications. It can also be configured to use any of the Dynamics 365 apps, such as customer service, customer engagement, field service, etc., and also integrate with the Dynamics 365 for Outlook. There's no code that's needed to be written to configure USD with the different agent applications. Therefore, you can set up USD with fairly quickly. And I didn't keep up with my slides there, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and dig into our demonstration. So without further ado, let me get that started here. When I first log into Unified Service Desk, also known as USD, the first thing that I see is just a Dynamics 365 window, but there are a few extra elements here. First off, we have sort of a top menu up here at the top. Again, these tabs, similar to what we saw earlier in the customer service interface. Obviously, you've taken a look at a dashboard right here, but we also have these other additional items up here at the top. So the first menu we're going to take a look at here is actually the website dropdown. We can actually preload this dropdown with websites that are commonly used by your customer service representatives. So what I'm going to do in their demo here is I'm going to click on AlphaBOLD. And we'll actually see that it just loads our website right up in a window here. Makes it really easy to quickly load maybe pretty simple web applications or other resources that are necessary. Inside of this window, I have a few different options. I can actually navigate to other websites that we have up on that menu. I can I've got my back button, my forward button, just like a regular browser. Got a refresh. Earlier, you probably noticed that there are these little carrots, these little buttons on the side here. I can also do things like move them to different panes within this interface, which allows me to bring up other pieces of information, other applications, and make them side by side in the same interface. For now, though, I'm going to go ahead and bring this back to our main page and close this down. The next area we are going to discuss is the My Work area. This area can be configured to allow users to quickly navigate to different work areas within Dynamics. The intent, of course, is to minimize the number of clicks required to move between these different areas. In this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and click on the My Work menu, select the My Cases drop-down, go to My Cases. This will show me a list of cases that are currently open and assigned to me. I'll then take you through how to interact with the cases using an interactive guided call script. So go ahead and click on that, open the case. Similar to the customer service workspace I showed in an earlier demo, you can see that opening this case actually created a new session with its own set of tabs. As part of this session, I not only opened the case, but it also can be configured to automatically open records related to the case for me. In this instance, it opened both the case and the contact that's associated to this case. This application is built to handle multiple work streams without losing track of other streams. For example, if you're interrupted with an incoming call, or you have to quickly change focus as different tasks become a priority. So if I needed to make an outbound call quickly, I could click on this menu up here, click outbound, and you'll notice that a whole new session pops open, allowing me to search for the person that I want to call. Of course, I can select that person and quickly, by clicking on this button, make an outbound call. But you'll notice that my original session still exists in the tab up top. I can go ahead and close this out when I'm done, and it will return me to this previous session. You'll notice that on the left-hand side of the screen, a call script box will show up listing out a number of different actions, as well as instructions and even a script for the agent to follow. The script can branch and even call other scripts to help facilitate your agents through a predefined process. I can interact with the record directly on the side of the screen, or I can use some of these predefined tasks on the left to help quickly create those tasks, schedule follow-up calls, update notes, or simply resolve the case. I'll highlight some of those now. First item I'll highlight is the ability to update our notes. Now I know that we can go over here and we can click in this box and enter a note quickly, but one of the features that this tool provides is the ability to provide centralized notes and some automation related to interacting with records. So if I wanted to add some notes here, I can simply do so and then click on the update notes task on the left-hand side. If I go ahead and refresh the timeline, you'll notice that a note has been automatically generated for me, and it now resides in the case notes. It also will help me automate some common things that I would have to do when I'm interacting with the case. For example, creating a callback. So if I need to schedule a callback to sort of touch base with the customer, or maybe call another person internally, I could create that task very easily by clicking on that button. It's going to ask me, okay, well, when do I want to call back? I'll go ahead and choose tomorrow. You'll notice that a call note will come up. It's already set up a due date for tomorrow, and I will go ahead and hit save and close. This is now scheduled for me and will show up in my list of appointments for tomorrow. In this particular scenario, I could go ahead and create some tasks. Maybe I don't have some tasks, and I spoke with the user and was able to resolve the case. So very quickly, I could, of course, always go up here and resolve the case using the out-of-the-box functionality. But because we have sort of shortcutted it into this checklist of things to do, I can quickly resolve the case by clicking on Quickly Resolve Case, and it will immediately close that case, and the case has been resolved, and I'm ready to go. I can then go ahead and close the session, and it will take me back to my global workspace. The last component I wanted to show today is arguably the feature that most often drives organizations to use the Unified Service Desk, and that is its ability to interact with various telephone systems. We can connect many legacy and modern phone systems into USD and subsequently CRM to automate the popping of their information onto the screen automatically. It's also known as a screen pop. We've had success with this with many different phone systems, not limited to, but including systems such as Cisco Finesse, NEC Electro Elite series, some of the Toshiba phone systems, and many, many more. So to do this today, I'm going to use an application that was written to test out this functionality within USD. This actually pretends to be a telephone system, and it's going to do both the call and the answer for me automatically. I'm just going to show you this quick little utility, the simulator. I'm going to go ahead and this is my dial-in number, so I'm pretending to be that particular number. I'm going to click this button here, and as soon as I do that, you'll notice that I've answered the call. It found my number within the database. You can see my information up here on the left-hand side. I've got email and mobile phone. It's pulled up my contact record. I can actually take a quick look at all of my call history. You can see that I've been calling myself a lot. Additionally, it's also opened up a phone call activity. With this phone call activity, I could begin answering the call. I could write some notes. You'll notice that we do have the ability to have, again, that call script on the left-hand side. I can answer the call, but it's also given me a few other options on the left-hand side. I can do things like I showed you before, update notes, send an email, create a task, but I can also create a case, opportunity, or lead. In this case, let's say that the customer had an issue. I can simply create a case, and you'll notice within the session itself, it creates a new case and automatically updates some of the information. You'll also notice on the left-hand side that the call script has now changed to our case call script, and we're ready to go. We can now start walking through the case and do the actions on that case. That concludes our USD demo for the day. If you had any additional questions, please reach out to us. And happy to show you everything that we have in our portfolio related to case management. And that's all for this demo. So, as I showed in showed you in the demonstration, by streamlining the interactions with customers, JWC was able to, or is able to, support their customers much more quickly and easily. Like I said, USD is a very powerful tool and that can be customized and tailored to your specific environment. So let's go ahead and move on to our last topic here. And our last topic is efficiency. So with efficiency, there's a couple of things that we like to address. The first one is ease of connectivity. So how quickly and easily can a customer communicate with you in various ways? Now, this could include some of the traditional channels, such as emails, phone calls, physical mail, and even faxes. More commonly, it also includes things like reaching out through your website, either through a form or a chat interface. Social media channels like Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and other online connection sources can also be another form. Speed of resolution. How quickly can you help the customer? When a customer requests help from you, the expectation is typically that you respond promptly and hopefully provide a prompt resolution. This is an area where inaction and disorganization can really cost an organization. And then finally, consistency of communication. So ensuring that communication happens regularly with customers, putting processes in place to ensure that you're staying on top of both the issues and the communication with your customers. So let's take a look at a final scenario here, an efficiency scenario. We're looking at a life sciences manufacturer. So this particular manufacturer develops, designs, and builds approved medical devices. They use Dynamics 365 customer service to keep track of issues and requests from their patients. They have leveraged several features within Dynamics customer service, as well as another technology called Power Automate to help them increase their efficiency when working with patients and to maintain a high level of service. So what was their problem? They needed to keep track of incoming emails from customers that are sent to a general support email box. They also wanted to respond and ensure that those emails were being responded to in a timely manner. They also wanted to keep track of the amount of time spent on these particular issues, so that they can ensure that patients were being served as quickly and rapid or quickly as possible. They created internal time targets that they wanted to hit for each issue that came in, and to ensure that they were maintaining a high level of responsiveness. They also wanted to ensure that again, kind of reiterating, they wanted to make sure that they were assisting patients as quickly and efficiently as possible. So what was the solution? So essentially utilizing Dynamics 365 to create cases, to create issues from emails automatically, and then also tracking the SLA, so the service level agreement, the time from first response and time to resolution. So basically providing some statistical targets to hit for their cases to ensure that they were hitting the bar for customer responses. So let's talk about some of the technology that we haven't talked about in previous demos. So in this last demonstration, I'll be doing a deeper dive into some of this customer service functionality, but also the automation. So I'm going to show you some of the automation that can be utilized within the Dynamics platform to help facilitate your communication with customers. As you can see by these bullet points, we're talking about Power Automate. It's a powerful automation tool. It's also known as a RPA, or robotic process automation tool. This tool allows you to integrate data between platforms or within the platform itself. You can automatically trigger records when certain triggers happen. So when a record changes, or in this case, when an email is sent to an inbox, a case will automatically be generated and assigned to a customer service representative. You could also even use this tool to manipulate applications on actual individual computers. So it's a very extensible application. So in this scenario, we won't be building any Power Automate flows, but Power Automate's being used in the background to automate many of the tasks that we see in the demonstration. So without further ado, let me demonstrate some additional power with the platform. Let me start by setting the stage of the scenario. I'm a customer sending an email request to the support address of our fictional company, AlphaCerts. To do this, I'm in my personal email account. I'm going to go ahead and click Compose. Again, just sending a standard email here. Our support organization email address in this case is democs. And I'm going to set the subject here to COVID-19 information. I'm going to say my request here is going to be about getting information about COVID. So can you give me information about how your company is handling the COVID-19 crisis? Jim. All right, now that I've done that, I'll go ahead and hit send. Switching over to the customer service workspace within Dynamics 365, we can see that a case has already been created for me with the email as its origin. Before we dig into that, let's take a quick tour of the customer service workspace and discuss several of the included features. One of the great features of the new customer service workspace is the addition of session tabs. Traditionally, you could create multiple tabs within your browser, but often users found it difficult to keep track of what tabs windows were related to the Dynamics application and which one were for other sites and applications. This new tab functionality allows you to quickly and easily keep track of data in different areas of the system. The idea of this feature is to allow a customer service worker to quickly shift between different sessions without losing track of the various tasks that they are attempting to accomplish. For example, let's say that I was in this case right here and was busy adding some additional notes when I suddenly receive a call. Instead of stopping, saving, and then having to remember to come back to this case, what I can do is I can go ahead and click up here and say open our case list and begin searching for an existing case to help with the customer that I have on the phone. Notice that I generated a new session or a new tab within our interface. I can always switch back to the case that I had open, continue writing my notes, but it does give me the option of being able to work through a different work stream. One other feature available in this new tabbed interface is the ability to quickly and easily open other records in different session tabs. So let's say that I wanted to take a quick peek at the information packet. If I were to click on this normally, it would actually, in that session, open up this record. What I can do instead is actually hold down my control key, click on this hyperlink, and it will actually open it up in a new session tab. Now that we know a little bit about the basics of the customer service workspace, let's go back and help out Jim from our initial scenario. First thing I'll do is I'll navigate back to my dashboard and we'll click on the case itself. I can click on the tab up here, select the case itself. Let's take a look a little bit at the details for this case. In my timeline, I can see when the case was automatically created from an email. I can actually take a look and see the information about the email that spawned this particular case. I can also see that there are some follow-up emails that went back out to the customer. These emails are related to giving them information about the case number. Additionally, I have an email that went out to our service representative telling them that we are close to not meeting our SLA related to initial response. On the left-hand side, we can see that we have 2 SLAs, so service level agreements. The first one is saying that we need to respond within the next 6 minutes, or else we're not within our service level agreement. Additionally, we need to resolve the case within 2 days and 23 hours. So let's get a response out. Unfortunately, this is a COVID-19 informational request, which fortunately for us, we have some knowledge base articles that can very easily be used to respond to this case. On the right-hand side of the case, I have a couple of tools here. And this first one here is the knowledge base article. Now, based upon the content within this case, it's using some of those keywords to try and locate relevant articles. Fortunately, this particular article is a good match for this case. And very simply, I can click on email content. An email will pop up. It will automatically embed the information that's contained within that article and allow me to directly send that to the customer. So I'll go ahead and do that now. You'll notice that, again, in my timeline, the outbound email, we have the history of that outbound email and it being sent to the customer, so we can actually see that. And I'm going to go ahead and resolve this case by clicking on the resolution here. We can resolve the case, confirm that we want to resolve it. It allows me to enter some amount of time that I spent. I'll say that I spent 15 minutes resolving this case. The problem was solved and the resolution was sent KB article to customer. The case is now complete. Well, now that we've done that, let's go ahead and go back to our email window and take a look at some of the emails that we received through the process of creating this case. In summary, we started by sending a request to our customer service department via email. That email spawned a case which was generated automatically and assigned to one of our customer service representatives. We made sure to meet our SLA goals within that case by quickly responding to the request with a ready-made article that we sent back to the customer. Throughout the process, the customer was kept informed of the status and disposition of the case, and our internal stakeholders were able to review all of the interactions related to that case and customer. And with that, this will conclude this demonstration of some of the basic case management functionality that's built into the Dynamics platform. Thank you. All right, Nick, I don't know, this is the end of my demonstrations, and I think the end of my presentation. I wanted to pass it over to you for next steps.
Great. Thank you so much for all those demos. Hopefully everybody got a little something out of it to see how they can improve their customer happiness, not just their customer satisfaction, and ultimately start getting better customer retention and increased sales. So if there are any other questions, please put them in the questions box. Outside of that, if you are ready to discuss, or if you just want to learn more, we'd be happy to hop on a call with you and do a quick session just to see how your organization is currently handling your customers and see if there's any way we can help you improve through any of the tools that we discussed today, or see if there's anything, any of the tools that you're currently using that maybe we can improve upon. If you go to the next slide, Rob, should be our contact information. Yep, there it is. That's our contact information. Please reach out to us at any time. We would love to speak with you. We'll also be reaching out to you with the recording of the webinar, so that way you can review it or send it to any of your colleagues for further review. And then we'll also be reaching out to see if you did want to set up any kind of workshop or just quick discussion, or if we can send you any other resources. Then it doesn't look like there's any other questions coming in, so I think this just about wraps it up. Again, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate your time, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.